One of the biggest realizations I've had in my career is this: there's a gap in how we're trained as designers versus what the real world expects from us. We spend years learning how to make things look good, flow beautifully, and solve user problems elegantly. But when we step into organizations, we quickly realize there's another layer, one that nobody really prepared us for. Let's be honest about it. What we learn is all about craft and empathy. We learn to design interfaces, create seamless interactions, and solve user problems with visual clarity. We learn to think about users' journeys, emotions, and that's incredibly important. But what we often miss is the strategic and business side of design. We're rarely taught how to understand business models, how to prioritize features when resources are limited, or how leaders make tough, high stakes decisions that shape the direction of an entire company. That's where the gap begins, not in creativity, but in context. And this gap is what limits our influence. It's not that designers don't have good ideas, we do. But without understanding how decisions are made, our ideas often stop at the execution level. They never reach the rooms where strategies are defined. Here's the hard truth: most design professionals struggle to influence strategic decisions within their organizations, not because they lack creativity, but because they lack the tools and frameworks to connect creativity to strategy. We can design experiences, but we often struggle to design influence. The challenge of influence is real. When we don't understand how decisions are made, our design voice gets lost in translation. We end up designing outputs instead of shaping outcomes. And the main reason? We're not fluent in the language of business, so our reasoning doesn't always resonate with leaders, even when our solutions are right. Without that shared language, it's hard to move from designer to decision partner. But this is where the opportunity lies. When we start learning the frameworks leaders use, the ones that guide business priorities, resource allocation, and trade offs, everything changes. Management frameworks act like a translator between creativity and business logic. They help us communicate with clarity, justify our decisions confidently, and influence strategy with credibility. They bridge the divide, turning design from a support function into a strategic force. And that's exactly what this series is about: learning how to use these frameworks not as business buzzwords, but as tools to elevate your thinking, your presence, and your impact. Because once you understand how leaders think, you stop waiting for permission to influence and start becoming part of the conversation that shapes the direction of the company. That's the real transformation, from creating experiences to creating impact.